Muy buenas gente de YouTube, ¿cómo están? Les habla Skullcraft325 y esta vez les traigo un nuevo capítulo de lo que esto es The Dwarves. Nos quedamos justamente aquí en el colado negro y vamos a ver si entramos en las instalaciones del laboratorio secreto. Espero que les guste, como siempre es un gameplay no comentado, espero que vean y sea entretenido y nos veremos al final. ¡Hasta luego!
No trace of Garen here either. If he's close, then there must be some kind of cave somewhere in the mountain. I can only climb a little way here. There must be a better way. An old tree. Looks like it could fall down at any moment. There we go. I should be able to get up here. That was close. I hope this is all worth it. Here's a... No, forget it. Definitely a rock face. There's something engraved on it.
You realize with surprise that they are runes in the Dwarven language.
Built with the blood of our enemies, be unyielding as the rock, and soak the land in their blood. Huh? Hello? Master Garen, Lot Yonan sent me to bring some items back to you. My inquiries are almost at an end. That means I can finally go to be with my sunshine. I have never been to Greenglade, but I think I will like it there. I deposited my most valuable things in the grave of Horengarth before my departure and secured it with magic. The password is...
You recognize the following words as rune names, but they're written in the learned language, so you don't know which they are.
Greenglade. Oh, great. Useful. An eternal flame. I know who taught him that.
You see sketches and notes on the architectural features, statues and wall reliefs. It seems Garen spent a lot of time studying this place.
Maybe he's a kind of a dwarf historian, or maybe he's just a treasure hunter. Hello? Is anyone there?
It looks as though Garen lived in the fortress for a while. It also seems that he left several lunar orbits ago.
He's not stealing, it would just be a shame if the provisions went off.
A series of weapons that are all clearly of dwarven origin. The spider webs and rust suggest they have been here for quite a while, maybe even centuries. You have difficulty deciphering the scroll.
Throw the firstlings in the forge. Beat the secondlings to a pulp. The fourthlings are... The rest is illegible. Earthlings, the fortress belongs to the dwarf haters. Lorimber's dwarves are not only as unyielding as a mountain, they are also as destructive as an avalanche, and would batter into lesser kingdoms just as relentlessly. The four should find no salvation in Vracus, only eternal damnation, so that they suffer indescribable torment between the worlds.
You have heard of the dwarf haters, but this is the first time you have read their hateful words. You feel sick and turn away.
Born of stone, forged in battle, arise reborn from the blood of the enemy.
You're not sure if you really want to know what was once in this basin. The whole place gives you the feeling that a decent dwarf shouldn't hang around too long.
A rune, clearly magical. Graves could be buried here. A sarcophagus. Perhaps I could open it. That's it. Garen's most valuable belongings. Letters from his lover, a silk scarf that must have belonged to her, and a medallion. Lorimber, the progenitor of the Thirdlings.
In most of the chronicles about the 5 dwarfen kingdoms, only very little is written about the Thirdlings, and what is written is full of disgust. They are called traitors, or worse. It would seem that even the Thirdlings worship Vrakas, but in all the other kingdoms his shrine would be the biggest, not the statue of the kingdom's progenitor. A couple of gold coins are in the bowl in front of the shrine.
Can't do any harm. Goren is in Greenglade to visit his sunshine. Greenglade is in Gauragat. We can't have fallen in love with a pointy here, can he? Even the dark evergreen forest seems to be afraid of the Black Mountain.
So, Scholar, what are the results of your inquiries?
There is an abandoned fortress in the mountain, and I think it belonged to the Thirdlings.
Boindale's eyes narrow.
The blasted dwarf killers! A Thirdling fortress? Here? In the middle of Girdlegard? We must let High King Gundrabur know about this.
The fortress has been long abandoned by the looks of it. Anyway, I can't go to Ogre's death until I've completed my quest. Goren is in Greenglade.
Huh.
A Thirdling fortress? Here, in the heart of Girdlegard. That's strange, isn't it?
And worrying. But they've always been wily. They move in the shadows and kill there too if they can. Do you know their story?
I've read about it. Lorenberg, their progenitor, rejected the name that Vrakas gave him, who in turn did not give him any special talents, so his kingdom studied war.
It helps them defending the East, but it also meant they ended up confronting the other kingdoms. No dwarf would ever even think of injuring one of his kind, never mind killing them. But the dwarf killers are proud of it. When they were even more powerful, they wanted to become the rulers of all dwarves. They are envious of our skills. They haven't been heard of for a long time, but you can be sure there isn't a single dwarf alive who doesn't hate them.
The High King? Why do you want to bring me to him?
All right then. It's about the choice of the new High King. Gandagar, the king of the Fourthlings, is with his entourage in Ogre's death and is supposed to ascend the throne.
But our acting High King Gundrabur wants to prevent that from happening. He fears that Gandagar wishes to instigate a war against the elves.
But what have I got to do with that?
Boindale is about to say something, but is silenced by a nudge in the side from his brother.
High King Gundrabur will explain everything when the time comes.
You look distrustfully from one twin to the other. Boindale has donned an innocent expression, and Boendal doesn't give you the impression that he has anything else to say on the matter.
Whatever, your High King must wait. I have a quest to carry out in Greenglade.
but our quest is...
Boindil raises a placatory hand and throws his rucksack onto his back in preparation.
Let it be, dear brother. Look at him. He has made his decision, and you will not be able to change his stubborn dwarven mind.
You can't help but smile. Taking a rest, you see a cart trundling along the road not far away from you. A young couple are sitting on the box seat, clearly in love and more interested in each other than the rest of the world around them. The sight reminds you of a long unanswered question.
So, I was wondering, what do female dwarves look like?
Pretty.
Very pretty.
Uh-huh.
You were expecting a little more information.
Do they have beards?
No, I would say it's more like fluff. Oh, very attractive.
And what do they do? I mean, are they warriors too?
In our kingdom, most take care of domestic life. They take the animals down to the meadows in the valleys, make sure the larder are full and that there's plenty of good beer, and make our clothes.
It only ever causes problems when men and women stand shoulder to shoulder in battle.
Some of them are talented stonemasons and smiths, and beware of insulting their skills. They are no less proud than we are.
By the evening campfire, Boindil rummages around in his rucksack and pulls out a cheese wrapped in a cloth. He sticks a fist-sized piece on a spit and grills it on the fire.
There's nothing better than grilled cheese at the end of a long day.
The smell it gives off makes you hold your breath.
Oh, it smells like my socks after weeks of marching in my boots.
Oh, picky, are you? Hardly surprising, considering you were brought up by humans. It's ruined your taste.
Boindil holds the stinky cheese at the end of the stick under your nose.
Eat, and stop complaining.
You pull the warm piece of cheese from the stick. It tastes dreadful. Your fingers will smell of it for the next few days, and probably your mouth will too.
So we meet again, dear dwarf. Tungdil, wasn't it? Interested in buying something?
You say goodbye to the traders and continue your journey. The closer you get to Parista, the livelier the streets become. Many of the large buildings in the city are even taller than the high city wall. But one building towers above them all, the palace. Its dome gleams white in the sun. It is the seat of the Council of Magi, and its central tower, which juts high into the sky, serves as a waypoint for travellers as far as 50 miles away. You reach the council's palace, but are stopped in front of its gates by a guard.
The Council of Magi is convened to take care of the perished land. They mustn't be disturbed.
The perished land? You mean the barrier? Is there something wrong with it?
The guard shrugs his shoulders.
Won't be anything the Council can't sort out.
The hamlet of Sungird certainly lives up to its name. You arrive as the sun sets behind the tower of a Palandial temple, lighting up its stained glass. There's a shop in the village, and through the window, as well as some everyday objects and food, you also spy a shelf full of books. A small bell rings as you enter the shop. The twins look around, but seem rather disinterested, until they discover a couple of gemstones on display. On the wall to your left is the bookshelf you saw through the window. It's quite unusual for a village shop to sell books. You stroll towards the bookshelf and read some of the titles written on the spines of the books. You know many of the works from Lot Yonan's library.
Oh, by fracas, look, dear brother! The scholar really is looking at books!
It's an interesting selection, Boindle. I could make some recommendations for you.
Boindle throws his arm around your shoulder and pulls you slowly away from the bookshelf.
What if someone sees you? Here, this is more our kind of thing.
You follow him reluctantly and are shown the selection of gemstones. Boindle is walking next to you in silence. Now and then he looks at you from the side.
And you really do like books?
Yeah, I'm curious. And you can find many answers in books.
Won't you have found all the answers at some point?
Quite the contrary. The more books you read, the more questions you ask.
Ah, I knew it. Oh, just a waste of time.
You approach the village and can tell even from far off that something isn't right. The smell of burnt wood and death is in the air.
By Vracus.
The piggies have really shown those pointy ears. We couldn't have done it any better.
Stay alert. I want to find out what happened to Garen.
The hand that painted this picture was that of a master. It is composed exclusively in shades of red, but every single little detail is painstakingly and precisely reflected. Trees, the remains of buildings, bodies. You hesitate.
This picture portrays the village in its state of ruin.
Examining the canvas more closely, you realize that it is actually made of skin, and the red paint seems more than suspicious now.
This is the most disgusting thing I have ever seen. Hoofprints burned into the ground.
Hellfire?
The fire in Boindle's eyes flares up with delight.
Huzzah! That would make a change from those stupid piggies. Did you hear that, brother? We might get to test our blades on Tion's pointy ears.
You have read about the elves and their buildings. This here had always just been a small example of their architectural skill, which achieved perfection in Alandur. Now burning and ruined, the pavilion makes an even sadder impression. Green Glade was one of the few places in Girdlegard where humans and elves lived together. You don't see any elven features among all the faces contorted with pain and fear. You look away. The body of the man is riddled with arrows and is lying in a small patch of undamaged ground while a sea of flames must have raged in a circle around him. The robes remind you of those of Lot Yonan's famuli. This, plus the fact that the man used magic, makes you quite sure that this is Garen.
Garen had these books on him when he was attacked. Was he trying to bring them to safety?
Your eyes fall upon a sealed letter next to the books. The circumstances seem grave enough for you to break the seal.
Greetings, Turga. I am glad to hear that you finally wish to confide in Lot Yonan. I have found out something new about the demon. It's all written in these books. I think they are the key to his destruction, or I hope so at least. Yours faithfully, Garen. What demon are they talking about?
You instinctively think about how the magical barrier is only a few days' march north of here, and beyond it, Varakas only knows what kind of creatures live in the Perish Land. The smell of the smoke has accompanied you for a while now, but here, so close to the bodies, it is masked by the sweet smell of death. You have a bitter taste in your mouth and have to pull yourself together to avoid vomiting in disgust. The elf maiden's graceful snow-white face still radiates beauty, in terrible contrast to the rest of her appearance. From the neck down, she is nothing more than a blood-red, damp and glistening skeleton. There are long nails sticking through her thin bones, and where her beautiful eyes once were, are now gaping black holes. In your imagination, you see the Alfar's shadow mare standing around the Lady of Greenglade, devouring her, while she, nailed to the tree, squirms and screams in pain. You quickly put your hand over your mouth.
You destroyed my painting. Now I need fresh blood to paint a new one.
Huzzah! This will be fun! We finally get to fight!
I hope your blood doesn't clot too much. It has to be nice and fluid for my fine brushstrokes.
Ha! How do you plan to defeat us, pointy ears? There are 3 of us.
Oh, only 3. That makes it easier.
She looks over the corpses.
Otharin Lueth Buanre!
What's happening?
That's the perished land.
Impossible. Greenglade is south of the barrier.
I know of nothing else that can resurrect the dead. Knock their heads off or they'll keep coming back. Yeah! What is it?
And what now?
And again. hit you very hard! Too easy! Huh? I didn't hit you very hard! Pow! Another one bites the dust! Wind you! What can do with your axes over here? Who's next?
Please wait a moment.
What is it? Ha ha! And again. And what now?
Yes? I can't do that yet. Please wait a moment.
Who's next?
I need help over here.
Yes.
Quickly.
Huh?
Huh?
I didn't hit you very hard. Ow! Hey! What is it? And what now? Pow! Another one bites the dust.
Give me a hand!
Yes?
Yes? Huh? Too easy!
Huh?
What is it? Who's next?
And what now?
Too easy! I didn't hit you very hard! Yeah!
You hardly put up a fight!
Yes?
Kill.
What is it?
And again.
Dwarves, you protected the glade. The perished land. The barrier has fallen.
You can feel your stomach cramping. Unlike Boindale, you can't say a word.
The damn Magi only had one job!
So this is what it is like to rise from the dead. I feel nothing. I am left with nothing. My love, my beauty, my home, and my forest. Everything has been taken from me. I beg you, have mercy and put an end to my suffering.
Without even being able to look into her eyes, you recognize the sadness in the elf maiden's expression. The dignity that she must once have radiated can only be imagined in her current state.
Garen was here, and I've heard that you elves have special abilities in battle. Did the Alfar take you by surprise in your sleep?
I felt her presence, but when I confronted the elf, she had already killed the first of us and resurrected the perished land. It fills humans and dwarves with a hatred for life. It turns you into beasts. They charge through the village like a fury, and everyone that they killed became one of theirs.
If the perished land spreads further south, then Nodon won't need any orcs, ogres, or Alfar. One human losing their life in the perished land would be enough for the madness to sweep through the land like the plague.
Your stomach turns, but you know that it's right. You've never seen the twins looking so serious. They would pit themselves against any army of orcs, but this is something beyond their power, and yours.
We need the Magi. They must rebuild the barrier. We must go to Lot before the Perish Land spreads further. He will know what is to be done.
Neither of your companions objects.
I can't believe it. The barrier has fallen. How could that happen?
Who can tell? Anything could go wrong with all that hocus-pocus.
It had held back the Perish Land since the fall of the Fifthlings. Reinforcing the barrier whenever it loses power is the primary duty of the Great Magi. I can't imagine how Nodon or anyone else could have broken through it.
You think of the demons mentioned in Garen's letter. You wonder whether it could be possible that a demon from the Outer Lands might possess powers so great that even the 6 Magi weren't ready for it. Evening since you left Greenglade, you have looked at Garen's books and tried to prize out the knowledge that they hold. But now, you must admit to yourself that you can't decipher them. They are written in the learned language for High Magi, and Lot didn't teach you that. However, you're sure that the books are important. Why else would Garen want them sent to Turga the Fair-Faced? You put them away with a sigh, and your eyes remain on the bag that Lot gave you. Did Garen ask Lot to return the magical artifacts in the pouch? You pick up the pouch and look at it.
Lot forbade me from opening the pouch.
What the heck? Garen is dead, and you want to know what you're lugging around with you through the length and breadth of Girdlegard. You grasp at the pouch with an uninvolved expression so that the twins don't think you're acting against Lot instructions. You undo the knot with nimble fingers. A piercing, bone-splitting sound rings out, and small spheres of light shoot into the air, ending in colourful explosions.
By Fracas' hammer and all the fires of his forge!
The twins jump up immediately and draw their weapons. You curse and quickly close the pouch again.
By the mountains of Girdlegard! What was that, Scholar?
I just wanted to examine the magical trap. It's for thieves, in case someone tries to steal the pouch.
You try to act normally, so that they don't realise you got just as much a shock as they did. Boindale looks at the pouch with animosity.
Magical frippery.
The twins sit down again, and you slowly recover. Just like previous nights, you are haunted by the image of the elf maiden nailed to the tree in Greenglade. You wake from your sleep and look around you. The night is unusually dark. Despite your good dwarven eyes, you can only make out Boindale's outline, even though he's keeping watch only a few steps away. You're about to lie down again, but suddenly feel something cold against your throat. Next to you, the pale face of an elf slides into view.
Good evening. I'm afraid we missed each other in Greenglade, so my companion had to receive you on her own.
You want to speak, but the blade is pressed against your larynx, and you can only manage a wheeze.
Shush. You don't need to talk. I'm not going to kill you. Not yet. Do you know what I'm going to do instead?
You feverishly search for an answer, but you can't even imagine how an Alfar thinks.
I will kill everyone who means anything to you. I will destroy your life, and you will sink into hopelessness, groundling. Your downfall is called Synthoras.
You tense your muscles, readying to defend yourself, but suddenly realize that the blade against your throat has disappeared. You look around, astonished. The Alf is nowhere to be seen. You look over to Boendal, who is easy to recognize in the bright moonlight. Next to you, Boindil smacks his lips in his sleep. You touch your throat, and when you don't feel anything, you breathe out, relieved.
Just a nightmare.
At least that's what you tell yourself. But you don't close your eyes for the rest of the night. Boindil unwraps his dwarf cheese again and cooks it on the fire. When he offers you a piece, you take it.
I knew we'd make a dwarf of you in the end.
You chew on the cheese so you don't have to answer. It tastes better than you first thought. You arrive at a small, bustling village. One thing is clearly missing from the lively scene: the sound of metal on metal from the village smithy that would normally be heard above everything else at this time of day. A dour, grim-looking man is sitting in front of the forge with his right arm in a sling. His expression brightens as he sees you, and he jumps to his feet.
Dear dwarves, could I interest you in helping me in my workshop for a day?
The man's expression is somewhere between desperation and hope. As you don't answer immediately, he continues.
You will, of course, be royally rewarded for your work. I can offer you 100 gold pieces.
What happened to your arm?
A stupid accident. A box of blanks fell down. I was trying to catch it. It will heal, fortunately, but I won't be able to wield my hammer for a while.
You must have quite a backlog of work.
You nod sympathetically. You always felt bad if you were ill or couldn't work in the forge for some reason or other.
Loads. But if what I hear about the metalworking skills of the dwarves is true, it will be easy for you to manage it in a day.
I'll help you. I worked in a forge for a while.
You modestly conceal that in this case, a while means almost a whole human lifetime. A little later, you are standing in the workshop, examining the smith's inferior tools, while he fires up the forge and prepares everything for the job, as well as he can, with just one good arm. You weren't able to persuade the twins to help you. As warriors, they'd rather go hunting, Boindil declared. But you think it's more probable that you'll find them drinking beer. But you don't care. You're excited about being able to smith again after such a long time. Hours later, you have forgotten everything around you. The heat of the forge, the sweat on your warm skin, the play of the flames. You're in your element and work as if in a trance. The smith left the workshop ages ago with a satisfied grin on his face.
Oi, I'm talking to you.
You look up in surprise. Everything but the beating of the hammer had ceased to exist, and you didn't notice that someone has come in.
Can you do it?
You immediately dislike the middle-aged man. He sounds you out so doggedly with his light grey eyes that it feels as though he wants to look right through you and into your deepest thoughts. The man points to 2 horses.
Those 2, in 1 hour.
These two need shoeing. No problem.
The man doesn't look convinced, but you get to work with confidence after examining the horse's hooves. 2 more armed men are standing next to the horses, sizing you up. You concentrate on the work. The only sound you hear is the melodic beat of the hammer against the anvil. You keep track of the armed men out of the corner of your eyes. You suspect they are mercenaries. While you're fitting the 3rd horseshoe, another armed man enters the forge and speaks in hushed tones with the leader of the group.
He's the only one here.
The man nods in your direction, and you quickly shift your attention back to the work. You play it cool and complete the work. As the leader of the mercenaries pays you, you have the feeling that he is trying to transfix you with his eyes. The men leave the workshop without a word.
So, you're mercenaries, I take it?
You're only trying to engage in conversation, but the man looks at you incredulously, as if he didn't expect dwarves to be able to talk.
Something like that.
Got lots of work? Oh, do you know anything about the armies of orcs from the south?
We can't complain.
The man's tone makes it clear that the conversation has ended here. You carry out the work in silence. As the leader of the mercenaries pays you, you have the feeling that he is trying to transfix you with his eyes. The men leave the workshop without a word. You ignore the horsemen and concentrate on your work. When you tell the twins about your visitors later on, they know exactly who you're talking about. They encountered them on the way back from hunting. You spend the night in the smith's house and continue on your way, with your well-earned reward the next morning. Axeldale is shrouded in an eerie silence as you approach. There's not a single fishing boat on the river, and many of the houses are now just burnt-out ruins.
The big-nosed beasts have made a grim job of it. Seems they don't like fish.
Boendal gives his brother a reproachful look. There are dead bodies everywhere, but it seems to you that there should be more of them. For a brief moment, you hope that the villagers had fled. But then you realize that the orcs were probably hungry after their victory, and your stomach turns. Boendal lays a hand on your shoulder.
Let's go. There's nothing more we can do for these people. But maybe there are others we can help.
Once you reach the top of the hill above Goodwater, you can see what is left of the village. The sea of red roof tiles has given way to a forest of burnt black ruins. You see a light through the trees some way from the path. It inevitably brings to mind your encounter with the woodcutters. You tell the dwarves about your encounter with the woodcutters and how you intimidated them.
Very dwarf-like, but I think we'll have to teach them a lesson anyway.
Humans are not our enemies, Boendal.
Thinking about it, they do deserve it.
Boendal grins widely, and before Boendal can stop him, he stomps off. You lie awake in your camp and think about the woodcutter's roast that you had for dinner. The rabbit was the best thing you've eaten in a long time. It tasted of victory.
Why are the Magus' vaults here in the middle of nowhere? And why does the Lord of Yonendar live in a vault and not in a castle?
It's to do with the magical fields that spread out under Girdlegard, so the 5 magical realms are found where the fields are at their strongest.
And that's why he lives in the vaults? To be closer to the underground magic?
No, it's more to do with security. 200 students of magic and, well, a source of almost unlimited magical energy. The Magus thought that an underground vault was a more suitable place to train than Master Nudin's tower in the middle of Parista.
I don't like it here. All this hocus pocus is bad news. Us dwarves know that and keep well away, just as Vracus commanded. I hope you know that too.
I cannot perform magic, and I've never attempted to. Nevertheless, please show respect. Remember that it was not Yeoman who took me in and saved me.
Now then, it would seem that the tongue of the learned one becomes somewhat haughtier, and his sentences doth wind most strangely as we verily approach the vaults.
You can't help but grin guiltily. With a beseeching glance at the twins, you step into the area in front of the vaults. Seeing no one there you might greet, you and your companions enter your old home through the open gate.
Who the hell built this tunnel?
Bowendahl examines the crumbling roof with a mixture of disbelief and indignation.
Be quiet. I want to surprise them.
Is that such a good idea? What if we give your master such a shock that he casts a spell on us? I don't want to be turned into a mouse or a bar of soap.
It is unusually quiet in the vaults, but the smell of dinner is in the air. You imagine Frala looking up at you from her cooking pot in the kitchen and smiling.
There's boiled and roasted meat for dinner. Come on.
That's no reason to go and get ourselves turned into something weird. We'll stay here until you're finished with your little game. Only Long'uns will build like this. They've cut through the strata with no concern for the veins. That's obvious, even to a warrior like me.
Ah, the warmth has dried out the strata and made them all crumbly. Even the wooden beams won't hold the roof up for much longer.
Tungdo, have you found your Magus yet?
No, not yet. I'll keep looking.